This is the Beast Kingdom Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Dynamic Action Heroes DAH-003 Superman. This 1/9 scale action figure features 30 movable joints, allowing you to create any classic pose. He also includes a Kryptonite spear, which is made of die-cast metal. There's going to be a lot to cover in this review, but before we do that, let's go ahead and take a tape measure. Starting at the bottom of Superman, where his feet touch the bottom here, I should say, up to the top of his head, the figure is 8 inches in height, which would also play into why these are called Dynamic Action Heroes. That would be 8-C-T-I-O-N, so 8 inches tall action heroes. He gets himself an exclusive display stand featuring Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice and the Batman v Superman logo at the top there. On the front is featured Superman, and like with the other figures that we've had a look at, the neck, the supplied neck that pegs into, let me just show you here, just plugs into the hole there, like so, has a hinge. This section up here can also rotate all the way around. You can also rotate the waist clip, and you can also hinge these back and forth. If you do have these pop off, I just want to show you here, they are very easy to plug back into place. It's simply just a case of plugging the peg into the supplied hole, and that's it. And we'll just put that back in place. You've also got Beast Kingdom written along the side there, and we'll put the display stand just to the side. He also comes with a whole ton of other cool accessories, but I think I want to wait on that, because we want to look at the figure first, talk about it a bit, digest it a bit, and then we'll kind of go to the accessories from there. This is now my third outing when it comes to the Beast Kingdom figures, already having a look at the Batman as well as the armored Batman. Now looking at Superman here. And my initial opinions when we looked at Beast Kingdom the first time around, my initial feelings, my initial thoughts of the toy line, was I was really impressed with the level of detail that they put into both Batmans. And that still stays true when it comes to the Man of Steel here. It has one fantastic head sculpt. Not only is a fantastic head sculpt key to getting a really good looking figure, but paint also is a prime. You really do have to have a good paint to execute a good head sculpt, because if you don't have the good paint, no matter how good that head sculpt may be, it will get lost among the muddiness or the imperfections in the paint. And the paint, as you will probably see, most likely will admit and agree to, the paint is phenomenal on Superman here. I do think it bears a good resemblance to Henry Cavill. A rather stern, not smiling face of Superman. You can see the level of different tones that they've added to the face. In fact, the face seems like it's slightly a different color than the neck, and then among that, you've even got, I don't know if you can see it or no, the slight little indication of stubble here on Superman's face. A really good head sculpt. Now he does have 2 head sculpts, in which we'll kind of start delving into the accessories included. He does also have this head sculpt here. Now this is his heat ray vision, which is a nice take on the heat ray vision in the movie, in the sense that it's white pupils among white pupils, I should say, on the backdrop of red eyes, right? Red eyeballs. And then you've got the tanning or the bruising of the red that's carrying into the flesh tone here. I would say, though, it would have been nice if they had changed up the expression slightly. I really do like this head sculpt quite a bit, but I think I would have changed the mouth just slightly, maybe giving him a little bit more of a grimace or angrier expression. To simply change out the head is pretty easy, actually. You're just going to grab the neck here, ripping off the Man of Steel. You may actually find yourself doing this. The head is attached by 2 ball joints, and actually this is a good opportunity for me to show you how those 2 ball joints work. So you get Superman's head, which has a ball joint happening right there. Now it's a ball joint on the top, and it's a ball joint on the bottom. So this, technically on its own, could hinge back and forth, could really go in all different directions. Then you're going to take the neck, That plugs into place like so, and then you've got the posability happening there. Now let's replace the Superman head with the one that has the heat ray vision, and it's a little ball joint there. We're just going to go ahead and plug that into the top, and now you've got full posability from the top ball joint. Secondary ball joint 2 also gives you a much more generous amount of movement that you can do with the head up here as well as the neck down below. So you get kind of double happening here. Again, like, the head sculpt is really good. I like this a lot. Maybe wish again that there was that slight bit of angrier look on his face, so it not only would differentiate from the existing defaulted head that we've gotten, but it would also fit perfectly with the fact that he has his heat vision happening. You would imagine he's using us for a reason. He's probably angry, and that's not something you want to be around, an angry Superman. Again, a really nice head sculpt. I love the airbrushing of the red that's fanning out from the eyes, carrying across the face. So let's go ahead and pop the other head off successfully without removing the neck, and we'll replace that. Just have to move the ball joint a little slightly to the back. There we go. And we'll just replace it back to the neck socket. As for the rest of his body, this would be the Batman v Superman costume, so it still doesn't have the very noticeable bright patches that the Justice League costume would have. Instead, you get very much the muted colors of it's almost like a bluish gray, more a gray-based blue than a blue-based gray. Phenomenal outlining here on this metallic blue that carries its way around the emblem, around the cape, down the sides, down the legs, and around the collar or cuffed areas of his sleeves here. A close-up look shows that Beast Kingdom spared no detail. You can see that it's got that Superman emblem kind of chainmail that runs across. It's a little easier to see on the logo than perhaps it is on the chest, but even, like, I don't know, the camera's doing a pretty good job here of capturing it. You can see the little chainmail effect that's happening, and that runs basically from his neck all the way down to his feet, and even like his boots also have that as well. I like the choice of colors that they went with the blues. I love the choice of color that they went with the boots, in which they're almost like a metallic raspberry red. There's the undersoles, still given full detail to it. Beast Kingdom really does put a lot of time and effort into their pieces. It definitely does show here. One little bit of apprehension, one thing that kind of makes this slightly one down, I think, from being a perfect Superman figure. I'm not a big fan of the density of the cape. The cape is softer of a soft rubber, but I feel like it could be just a slight bit softer still. Especially when you get to the very top area, like here, it feels like it's very dense, and it does limit a little bit what you can do with Superman. You can still kind of move his torso. I mean, that's not limiting it at all, but it does feel at times when you're picking it up that it's got a real density to it as opposed to a softer. Like, it's a little bit on the softer side, but I feel like it could be maybe just a tad bit of a thinner material from there. To its credit, though, it's got a nice flow to it, and you've got the individual kind of waves of fabric. Could maybe be a slightly bit darker shade, but I think overall it works well for the Man of Steel here. Now, he does come with, like I said, a couple of accessories. We'll just put the Superman here for a second. There we go. He does come with a rather heavy Kryptonite sharded spear here. This would be, of course, what Armored Batman uses to hopefully deliver the final blow to Superman. The Kryptonite shard itself, as you can see as I'm running my finger behind it, is of a translucent nature. It does feel like it's pretty dense, though. I probably would not be doing this, however, but at the very least, it's not a very thin plastic. As for the rest of the makeup, this part here is the metal end of it. Done a pretty good job of painting the in-between areas of metal here with almost like a wood grain here, and it's You can see these little slotted panels here, these little slotted textures. Have alternating colors of the darker, almost darker brown black, and then you've got lighter shades kind of in there as well. Theoretically, you could have Superman displayed with this. It would almost be counterintuitive because simply you could just hand Superman the one thing that would kill him and he would just hold it and get sick from it. This would be a prime, more suitable thing to be displaying with the Armored Batman. And I'll likely be displaying it. There is a variant of the Armored Batman that has the removed panels, like the battle damage version of him. I'd be likely displaying him with this, I think, rather than the regular Armored Batman. Superman also comes with a series of interchangeable hands, a total of 5 extra hands. Those hands range from gripping hands, probably no, not to be grabbing the spear with. He's got a couple of kind of grabbing or pushing hands, has variations of those. And then he also has a pair of relaxed hands, or flight hands really, if you will. To change out those hands, simply just a case of grabbing onto the forearm. Be a little careful that you don't accidentally pop both joints out. You only really want to pull this end out. And you can then replace it with, say, this hand. The reasoning why I replaced it with this hand specifically is I do want to show you that the hand has a permanent angle. Instead of it being straight out, it angles up. And this again would be good if you wanted to have, you know, both hands. You could have him at, you know, hand to hand, toe to toe, so to speak, with the Cape Crusader. So I do like that they would have included that. The hands are a good coloring too. I want to really stress that. Like, the coloring is really where I think this figure shines. The figure shines anyways with being a great sculpt, but I think the paint also is really the icing on the cake. You could have a great sculpt, and I'll say this until the cows come home. You could have a really great sculpt, but if you don't have a good paint, a lot of that gets lost. Beast Kingdom luckily has the best of both worlds happening here with Superman. Okay, so let's go through his posability. His head rotates all the way around. We've already discussed really this part of it. He has also the secondary ball joint that happens at the base of the neck. That attaches to the torso. The torso on its own has a full range of motion via a ball joint on its own. And then he has a secondary ball joint happening in the lower torso where it attaches to the waist. So ball joint, let's run through that. Ball joint, a secondary, a third ball joint, and a fourth. That's really only from this amount of space, from the top of the head to the waist area here. The shoulders are rather clever in that you can pull them out and you get some additional range of motion there, or you can also retract them and push them closer into the torso. Now, one thing is you will notice a little bit more of a visible joint happening on here. Even if you like move the arms up slightly, you can see that there's the mechanics of it. That's basically how everything comes together. I don't want to say this be a deal breaker for you. If you look at this and you think, I don't like the fact that it's such an open area here, keep in mind really for what you then can do with Superman, that I'm perfectly fine with that being as open as it is. If it does mean an additional range of motion, and for the fact that you can bring the arms closer in, you know, it again depends on how you're wanting to display Superman. As for the biceps, or really as for the arms hinge out. Again, you can rotate them all the way around. Swivel at the bicep. He also has a bend at the elbow, which also allows the forearm to rotate all the way around. And he also has a swivel on the hand, no matter really what hand you're ultimately going to go with. Upper torso ball joint, we all looked at this before. Hinge on the legs. Legs move forward and back. You can also kind of do the same thing. You can bring those legs down, causing you to create a bit of a gap between the thigh and the lower waist area here. That does give you extra range of motion, like that. And then just simply pull that back up, pop that back into place. And he also has a top swivel cut on the thigh. It's actually about 3/4 of the way up. He's got that cut in the thigh, allowing the thigh to swivel back and forth depending on how you want to have it displayed. Of course, you're going to start breaking up a little bit of the detailing here, but that's a bit of a trade-off for depending on how you want to display him. Double hinge happening in the knee, and then lastly, coming down to the foot, he has a really nice relaxed ankle pivot hinges back and forth, and he also has toe articulation as well. To think my love for Beast Kingdom all originated from me finding both the Batman and the Armored Batman at my local comic book store, and it seems like I've been hooked ever since. Now picking up the Superman and absolutely adoring it, and also picking up the Wonder Woman, which we will look at in a separate review, kind of giving away what we're going to be looking at. Both figures, Superman, Armored Batman, and regular Batman, have really impressed me. The size, I think, is an appropriate size too. Sometimes figures can be overly small, sometimes figures can be too big. I think 8 inches is the comfortable size if you want a high-end collectible, but you don't want an action figure. Though these are touted as 9th scale action figures kind of implies for the fact that these are lesser grade releases, something you would find at Toys R Us or other retail stores. And I really want to stress that these aren't or should not be categorized in the same category as what you traditionally would think of as an action figure. Superman is very highly detailed, highly sculpted, and he's got tons of posability. Well, 30 movable joints make up the Man of Steel here. The only thing I would have changed slightly to him is the expression that they gave him for the heat vision, which was a little bit angrier, and the cape does feel a little dense, a little on the thick side. Maybe if that had been just slightly a little bit more relaxed. But still, I absolutely love this Superman, and much like the Batman and the Armored Batman that we had to look at, I may say this is the definitive Man of Steel to pick up if you want a smaller scale, superposable version of Superman. You should be able to find these now at your local comic book store. Today we were having a look at the Beast Kingdom Dynamic Action Heroes DAH-003, the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Superman. Like I said, guys, we're going to have a look at the Wonder Woman. She probably will be coming in the next video, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, make sure you do so, as both Wonder Woman and other videos will be coming soon. Make sure as well, make sure as well, when you're finished with this video, head over to the main page and scroll down the section that says videos, see if there's anything that you may have missed along the way. More videos to follow, guys. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.